All right, so part 1b, now we're going to try to relate parabolas, as I just taught you, the analytical geometry way, to quadratic equations, the parabolas you know from Algebra 1. Okay, so again, quadratic equation is a second-degree polynomial. Just as you saw in the previous formula, one of the variables, either x or y, is raised to the second power, so that's why it's quadratic. Now, these are for vertically opening parabolas. And again, that's what I'm going to stick with because you're used to that. So these will be vertically opening parabolas. So standard form looks like this: ax squared plus bx plus c. Again, that's the trinomial form that you remember how to factor, if you remember that. Vertex form looks like this: a times x minus h squared plus k. Again, vertex form, the vertex is h and k for your parabola. Okay. And again, if you need a quick, well, we'll do it when we do the problem. So example 2, given the vertex at -1, 2, and the focus at -1, 0 of a parabola, first find the standard form of the equation of the parabola. So this is from what you just did. So the standard form for this parabola would look like this. It's going to be x minus h squared equals, now I don't know if it opens up or down, so it could be positive or it could be negative 4p. We'll do that in a second. And then y minus k. So this is the formula that we are going to fill in first. And this connects part 1a to part 2, to part 1b. So if I draw a quick little picture, so here's my coordinate plane. My vertex is at -1, 2. So that's my vertex. Okay. My focus is at -1, 0. So my focus, so vertex is here. This is my vertex. My focus is right there at -1, 0, which means that my parabola must be opening down, because the focus is in the opening of the parabola. So that means that because it's opening down, it is going to be a minus sign. So what we need is we need our h and we need our k, which is just our vertex. So here's my h and my k. And then you need this p-value. Remember, the p-value is the distance between the vertex and the focus. Well, we could just count that. That's a distance of 2. So your p-value as well is going to be 2. And now we plug in and we just simplify what we can there, okay? So this is all part of part A, okay? So x minus -1 squared equals -4 times 2 times y minus 2. Change your double signs, so that's going to be x plus 1 squared equals, simplify that out, equals -8 times y minus 2. And there is your answer for part A. Okay, so again, very much the form from part 1A that we just talked about. All right, now B. Now we're going to rewrite this in vertex form. So it's very simple to go from the standard form for a parabola to your vertex form for a quadratic. This is what part B is going to be all about. So we're very, very close, if you see, right? So this x minus h squared is the x plus 1 squared. So that's already done. We have to move this a in front of it. Well, the a is going to come from the -8, okay? So let me do part B here. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Hopefully this doesn't ruin my video. I don't have room to scroll down. Never mind. Okay, so let me take a picture of that form, and then I'll just erase my screen. Okay, good. So I got it. So we're going to erase that. All right. So for part B, and I'll just do it right here. So I have this formula: x plus 1 squared equals -8 times y minus 2. I'm going to divide by -8 on both sides. Now, dividing by -8, that is not really the way we write it. So dividing by -8, so if you're going to divide by -8, it's the same thing as having a -1/8 in front of your equation, in front of your parenthesis. And that's what we're going to write it as. So -1/8 x plus 1 squared equals, the -8's cancel, y minus 2. And now, as you can see, the y is just all by itself, so we need to move the k over by adding 2 to both sides. And when you do that, I'm going to put the y first, if you don't mind. Y equals -1/8 x plus 1 squared plus 2. And that is your equation in vertex form. Simple. That's part B. Okay, now part C says we need to rewrite it in standard form for a quadratic. So now we need to take this and put it in this form. So now the first thing I notice is there's no parentheses. So guess what? We have to look at expanding that binomial squared, and that's what we'll do. So I'm going to erase this. Okay, so part C here. So my equation was y equals -1/8 x plus 1 squared plus 2. I'm going to rewrite this as x plus 1 times x plus 1, and I'm going to expand this. X to the x and 1 gives me x squared plus x. 1 to the x and 1 gives me x plus 1. Combine your middle terms, x squared plus 2x plus 1. That is now what goes in this parenthesis next to the -1/8. -1/8 times x squared plus 2x plus 1. And then the plus 2 is on the outside. So now we're going to distribute the -1/8 to all parts. So y equals, now this can be tricky because it's a fraction. So -1/8 x squared. Now I'm going to just multiply it out. The 2 goes only to the top. So -2/8 x minus 1/8 plus 2. And now a couple things we're going to do. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to simplify this to 1/4. And the second thing is we're going to put this 2 over 1, and we're going to combine these by making a common denominator of 8. To get this 1 to become an 8, I have to multiply by 8. So when I times that by 8, I get 8. Do the same thing at the top. When you times 2 by 8, you get 16. And now we'll combine. Y equals -1/8 x squared minus 1/4 x, and -1/8 plus 16/8 is positive 15/8. And there you go. So you might get some goofy numbers. I think I tried to avoid that. No, I didn't. I'm sorry. So you get some goofy numbers. Okay, and then last but not least, we're going to graph all of these, including the vertex, focus, and all three equations. We're going to copy and paste it in our space below. Okay, so here we go. So let's go to Desmos Graphing Calculator. So the first thing I want to do is I want to graph the vertex. First thing I want to do is I want to zoom out, right? Zoom out 1 to get 5 and 10. Okay, so -1, comma 2. That's my vertex. B. And then we'll do -1, 0. And that's my focus, F. And now I'll do the first equation exactly as I solved it. Parenthesis, x plus 1 squared equals -8, y minus 2. Look at that. It goes right through my vertex. How cool is that? I don't know what I did there. Y minus 2. Okay, so that's the green graph. All right, now let's do part B, vertex form. So that was y equals -1/8, parenthesis, x plus 1, close parenthesis, squared, plus, and now watch, 2. Boom! The purple goes right on top of the green. Excellent. And now let's do the third one. Y equals -1/8 x squared minus 1/4 x plus, 1/4 x, get the x out of the bottom, plus 15/8. And now look at that, the black graphs right on top of the green and purple graphs. So what you're going to do is some way, somehow, I don't know how you do it, we're going to copy, and you'll have a space, and I'll show you. I'm going to erase this. On your task, you'll have all this space down here. Make sure you label part A, part B, part C, but you can copy and paste your graph in there, and that'll be part D, right? And that'll be good. So again, feel free to use math type. I need to see your work somehow, right? So make sure either use math type, take a picture of your work, whatever you got to do to show this. Okay, great. So that's task number 2. Task 3 is coming up.